This happened on Interstate 40 in Tennessee between Nashville and Memphis, near mile marker 362. I was not supposed to be on that stretch of highway that night that I had planned to fly. But my flight was canceled, and renting a car felt easier than waiting until morning. It was a little after midnight when I left Nashville. 4 hours to Memphis. Flat road. Straight shots. Easy drive at least. That was what I thought. About an hour in, traffic became almost non-existent. 1 semi-truck ahead. Nothing behind me. Trees lining both sides of the interstate, no city lights. Just darkness pressing against the road. That was when I saw the first sign. A portable electronic message board on the right shoulder. Bright amber letters flashing. Emergency detour, exit now. No construction cones, no police, no flashing vehicles. Just the sign. I slowed slightly. There was no prior warning, no lane closure. Nothing on the radio. The exit ramp appeared ahead, no name. Just a number. I hesitated. Then I saw something that made the decision for me. The semi-truck ahead of me did not slow down. It continued straight past the sign. It passed the electronic board. The message flickered. For half a second, the text changed. Not emergency detour. It read, "Don't exit." Then it switched back instantly to my heart jumped. I blinked hard. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe glare from headlights distorted it. I stayed on the highway, past the sign. Nothing happened. No blocked lanes, no accident. Clear road. I let out a slow breath. 10 miles later, I saw another identical electronic sign. Same message. Emergency detour, exit now. This time there was no truck ahead of me, just me. Alone. The exit ramp was coming up fast. And this time, I noticed something different. There were tire marks leading off the ramp. Fresh, dark streaks on the pavement. As if someone had braked hard. I do not know why, but I felt pressure. Not physical, mental, like I was being guided. Pushed. The message board flickered again. For longer this time. Exit now. Then, "He's behind you." My chest tightened violently. I checked my rearview mirror. Empty highway, no headlights, no vehicles. Just darkness. When I looked back at the sign, it was back to normal. I drove past it. Refusing to exit, I told myself it had to be hacked or malfunctioning. Something explainable. Then my phone buzzed. No number displayed. Just a notification preview on the lock screen. Unknown alert. Highway emergency ahead. Exit immediately. I felt my stomach twist. There was no emergency alert tone. Just the message that I had not signed up for local alerts in Tennessee. I was not even from the state. I locked my phone and put it face down. My breathing felt shallow. I was gripping the wheel too tight. A few miles passed in silence. Then headlights appeared behind me. Far at first, then closing, fast. The car gained speed quickly. Too quickly. Within seconds, it was close enough that I could not see the grille. Just too blinding. Lights filling my rearview mirror. I changed lanes. The car followed. I slowed slightly. It slowed. My pulse pounded in my ears. Another electronic sign appeared ahead. This one larger. Overhead. Spanning the highway. Bright letters flashing. Final warning, exit. Then the text scrambled. Letters shifting. Glitching. Until it formed a single sentence. "Why are you still driving?" I felt cold, truly cold. Even though it was August, the headlights behind me flashed twice. Then once, then twice again. A pattern. Not random. I considered speeding, but something told me not to. Instead, I made a sudden decision. I hit my hazard lights and pulled onto the shoulder abruptly. The car behind me did the same, stopping about 50 feet back, engine running. Lights on. I stayed inside. Doors locked. Windows up. The other car's driver door opened slowly. A man stepped out. Average height. Dark jacket. He began walking toward my car calmly. Not running. Not shouting. Just steady steps. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. No signal. I checked again. No bars. The man reached my window and knocked once. Gentle. I did not respond. He leaned down slightly and spoke through the glass. "You're not supposed to ignore the signs. His voice was calm, almost disappointed that I shook my head slightly. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said. He looked at the overhead sign behind us, then back at me. "It gives everyone one chance." "One chance for what?" I did not ask. I started the engine. The man stepped back, slowly, smiling faintly. I accelerated hard back onto the highway. The other car followed instantly, closer than before. More aggressive. That IT began swerving slightly behind me. Testing, pressuring. The next exit sign appeared. Unmarked county road, NO lighting, NO buildings visible. The electronic board before it flashed rapidly. The message changed so fast I could barely read it. Last exit. Safe route. Turn now. Then, clear, steady. He will not follow. I made a split-second decision that I took the exit. Sharp turn. Wide tires screeched. The other car followed. Immediately. No hesitation. The ramp led down into dense trees. No streetlights. Just my headlights cutting through darkness. The road narrowed quickly. 2 lanes became 1. I drove faster. The car behind me stayed close. Too close. Then something strange happened. The pavement ended, abruptly. Ahead of me was dirt, loose gravel. I slammed the brakes. My car skidded sideways slightly. The other vehicle braked. Hard behind me. We both stopped. The road did not continue. It ended in a cleared dirt area surrounded by trees. No buildings, no lights. Nothing. I realized the exit had led to an unfinished road. Or an abandoned construction site. There was no way forward, only back the way we came. The man stepped out of his car again. Slowly, this time, he was holding something in his hand, not large, but metallic. Reflecting my headlights, he walked toward me. My heart was pounding so violently I thought I might faint. He stopped about 10 feet from my hood. And then he did something I did not expect. He looked confused. Genuinely confused. He turned and looked back at the road behind him, then back at me, and whispered something I could barely hear through the windshield. "That's not right." In that exact moment, headlights appeared behind him, bright, blinding. A large vehicle, coming down the dirt road fast. The man turned sharply. The vehicle did not slow. It accelerated, straight toward him. He jumped aside barely in time. The vehicle stopped between us, blocking him from me. I could not see inside because the headlights were aimed directly at my car. The man backed away slowly, into the trees, then ran, disappearing into darkness. The large vehicle turned its lights slightly downward. For a second, I could see the front grille. No license plate. No markings, just black. Then the engine revved, and it reversed up the dirt path, back toward the highway. I did not wait. I threw my car into reverse and followed. Back up the ramp, back onto Interstate 40. The electronic signs were gone. Completely dark. As if they had never been on. The highway was empty again. No car behind me. No large vehicle. Nothing. When I reached Memphis around 4 a.m., I pulled into a brightly lit truck stop. I went inside and asked the cashier if there had been construction or emergency detours near mile marker 362. He frowned, said no. That stretch had been clear for months. I checked local news, no roadwork, no alerts, no emergency signs. Nothing. 2 days later, I looked up Tennessee Department of Transportation notices online. There was a small article from last year. 3 drivers had gone missing after exiting near mile marker 362 late at night. Their cars were later found abandoned on an unfinished access road. No suspects. No witnesses. I do not know what the signs were. Or who controlled them. But I know this. Someone wanted me off the highway, and someone else did not. And I am not sure which one saved me. This happened on US Route 50 in Nevada. They call it the loneliest road in America. After that night, I understand why that I was driving from Carson City toward Ely. Late September. Clear sky. No moon. Just stars scattered across black emptiness. If you have never driven US 50 at night, you cannot really understand the isolation. There are stretches where you will not see another vehicle for 40 minutes, no towns, no houses, no signal. Just desert and mountains. That I left Carson City around 9:15 p.m. to BY 11 o'clock. I had not passed a single car.at first. It felt peaceful. Then it felt wrong. Around mile marker 183, I noticed something strange in my side mirror. A pair of headlights. Far back. Too far to make out shape. That I had not seen them appear. They were just suddenly there. That I remember thinking, good. Another human. That comfort lasted maybe 2 minutes. Because the headlights never got closer. They never got farther. No matter what speed I drove. They stayed the same distance back. I tested it. I slowed down to 55. Still there. I sped up to 80. Still there. Same distance. Like they were not actually moving on the same road. Like they were fixed to my mirror. That thought made my stomach twist. I turned off my music. Rolled down my window slightly. Silence. No other engines. No wind shift. Nothing. The headlights remained. Unchanging. I decided to pull over. There was a small gravel turnout ahead. I slowed gradually, turned my blinker on, pulled off the highway, came to a full stop. The headlights behind me did not pass. They did not slow. They did not approach. They disappeared, completely gone. The highway behind me was emptied at flat, black, no curves, no hills to hide behind. Just empty asphalt. I felt my pulse in my throat. I stayed parked for a full minute. Nothing. Then I merged back onto the highway. 10 minutes later, the headlights were back. Same distance. Same brightness. My hands felt damp on the steering wheel. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. Maybe the road had slight hills I did not notice. Maybe my depth perception was off. Fatigue can distort distance, but I was not tired. Not yet. Then my radio turned on by itself. Static. Loud. I jumped. I reached to turn it off. But through the static, I heard something faint. A voice. Male. Calm. Stay in the right lane. I froze. The radio had been completely off. The screen dark. Now it glowed faintly. Static crackled again. Do not change lanes. There were only 2 lanes. 1 in each direction. No median barrier. Just paint lines separating you from oncoming traffic. I turned the radio off. It stayed on. The volume knob did nothing. The voice returned. Last car that changed lanes did not make it. My breathing became shallow. I checked my mirrors again. Headlights still there. Not closer. Not farther. Then I noticed something worse. There were no headlights in the opposite direction. Not a single oncoming vehicle. For almost an hour now. That was not normal. Even on US 50 I began feeling watched. Not followed, watched. Like something had attached itself to my route. Tracking. Observing. The voice on the radio spoke again. Mile marker 197. I glanced at the next reflective post as I passed point 196. My skin went cold. Do not look back at 197. I did not want to pass that marker. But the highway does not stop. You keep moving. I approached 197 and my eyes locked forward. Refusing to check the mirror as I passed it, I felt something change. Like pressure in the air. The voice whispered, "Too late." I looked in the rearview mirror instinctively. The headlights were gone. In their place, I saw something I cannot explain. My own car. Behind me. Driving in the same lane. Same model. Same color. Same dent near the rear bumper. Its headlights were on, and I could see someone in the driver's seat. Silhouette only, but the outline matched my posture. My hands tightened on the wheel. I looked forward quickly. The road remained straight. I checked the mirror again. The duplicate car was still there, maintaining distance, mirroring my speed. I felt panic rising fast. This was not fatigue. This was not imagination. The reflection of my bumper damage was exact. The same scratch from a parking lot accident 2 years ago, N01. Else would have that. The radio voice returned. Stay in your lane. I swerved slightly. The car behind swerved identically, perfect synchronization that I slammed my brakes. Hard. My tires screeched. The car behind slammed its brakes at the exact same moment, stopping at the same distance that I stared into the mirror. The silhouette in the driver's seat tilted its head. The same way I just had. I felt like I was falling. Not physically, mentally. Like reality had shifted sideways. The voice on the radio sounded almost sympathetic now. You were not supposed to notice? My vision blurred slightly at the edges. I forced myself to breathe slowly. Think clearly. I made a sudden decision. I jerked the steering wheel sharply left, crossed fully into the opposite lane. There were no oncoming cars. The duplicate car behind me did not follow. It stayed in the original lane, stopped. Completely still. I accelerated in the wrong lane for several seconds, heart pounding violently. Then I corrected back into my lane. When I checked the mirror again, nothing. Empty highway, no headlights, no duplicate, just darkness. The radio shut off. Total silence. I drove the remaining miles to Ely without stopping, without music, without looking in the mirror. When I reached town around 2:30 a.m., I pulled into a 24-hour gas station. Bright lights, security cameras, other cars, normal life. I got out slowly, walked to the back of my vehicle. My hands were shaking. I looked at the rear bumper. The dent was there. The scratch was there. But something else was there too. Fresh dust patterns. As if another vehicle had been driving inches behind me for miles. Close enough to disturb the desert dirt, but never touching. I went inside and asked the clerk if any other cars had come through from the west in the last hour. He shook his head. Saw you on the camera about 10 minutes ago. That's it. I nodded slowly, paid for gas. And as I walked back outside, I felt something that has never fully left me. The sense that I had not outrun it, that I had only stepped out of alignment. Since that night, I avoid US 50 after dark. But sometimes when I drive any empty highway at night, I feel the urge to check my mirror. And when I do, for half a second, I am never fully sure I am alone in the lane behind me. This happened on Interstate 81 in Virginia, southbound. Between Winchester and Roanoke. I used to drive that stretch every week for work. 3 hours. Predictable. Mountains on both sides. Long trucking corridor. Familiar roads feel safe. That is why this worked. It was November. Cold rain earlier in the evening. Light fog hanging low over the asphalt. I left Winchester around 11:20 p.m. I remember the exact time because I texted my sister before leaving. Heading out now. See you tomorrow. She replied with a thumbs up. That detail matters later. The first hour was normal. Light truck traffic. Occasional headlights in the opposite direction. Nothing unusual. Around mile marker 298, my car chimed. A seatbelt warning. I frowned. I was wearing my seatbelt. The dashboard display flashed. Rear passenger belt unfastened. I laughed quietly. I live alone. There was no rear passenger. The warning turned off after a few seconds. I assumed it was a sensor glitch. 5 minutes later, it chimed again. Rear passenger belt unfastened. Then, before I could react, it changed. Rear passenger belt fastened. My fingers tightened on the wheel. I checked the back seat in my mirror. Dark. Empty. My heart rate increased. But I told myself it was just electronics. Moisture. Cold weather. Modern cars malfunction. That explanation held for about 10 minutes. Until the temperature inside my car dropped suddenly. Not outside. Inside. The air felt colder against my neck. Like a draft from directly behind me. I adjusted the vents. No change. Then I smelled something faint. Laundry detergent. Clean. Sharp, familiar. The same scent my father used when I was a kid. He passed away 3 years ago. I swallowed hard. Memories can be triggered by stress. BY scent association. That is normal. The radio turned on, soft static, then a faint clicking sound. Not random, rhythmic, like someone tapping a fingernail against plastic. From the back seat, I did not turn around. I told myself not to .do, not validate it.do, not feed it. The clicking stopped, then my infotainment screen flickered. For a split second, the backup camera activated. Even though I was driving 70 miles per hour, the screen showed the rear seat. For less than 1 second, but I saw something. The indentation of weight on the right side. As if someone was sitting there. The leather slightly compressed. Then it returned to normal. The screen went black. My breathing became uneven. I reached for my phone. No signal. Fog thickened ahead. Headlights blurred. The highway narrowed. Visually, even though it had not physically changed. Then the car chimed again. Rear passenger door ajar. I nearly swerved. All doors were locked. The display continued. Rear passenger door ajar. Then, rear passenger door closed. I felt something shift behind me. Not a sound. Not movement. Just presence. Like when someone stands too close in line at a store. You cannot see them, but you feel them. The air pressure changes. My phone buzzed. 1 bar of signal appeared briefly. A text from my sister. Sent at 11:20 p.m. exactly when I left. But the message content was new. You don't have to bring him back. My heart slammed so hard I thought I would black out. I pulled over onto the shoulder abruptly, hazard lights on. Hands shaking. I called her immediately. Straight to voicemail. I checked the timestamp. The message showed 11:20 p.m. but it had just appeared. Nearly 2 hours later. Another chime. Rear passenger belt unfastened. Then slowly, rear passenger belt fastened. I could hear breathing now, soft, measured. Behind me. I forced myself to turn around. Slowly. The back seat was empty, but the seatbelt on the right side was extended slightly. Not fully retracted. As if recently pulled. I stared at it for too long. Then my radio spoke. Not static, clear voice. Male, calm. You always leave the door unlocked for me. My blood ran cold. That was my father's voice. Exactly. Tone. Cadence. Everything. I slammed the gear into drive and accelerated back onto Interstate 81, fog thicker now. Visibility reduced. My thoughts spiraled. This was not possible. Grief can trigger hallucinations. Stress can distort perception. I had been working long hours, sleeping poorly. There were explanations. There had to be. The voice spoke again. You forgot mile marker 241. I felt disoriented. I had not reached 241 yet. That was still south. I checked the next sign, point 242. I had passed it, without noticing. My memory of the last 20 minutes was gone. Completely blanked. I did not remember driving that stretch. My chest tightened with panic. The display flickered again. Backup camera view. This time longer. The indentation was deeper, clear outline of legs, and for one frame, a reflection of eyes. I in the rear window, looking at me through the camera. The screen went black. The voice softened. You were supposed to let me sit in the front. Tears filled my eyes unexpectedly. This was manipulation, targeted, personal, using memory, using grief. The smell of detergent grew stronger. Then something brushed lightly against the back of my seat. Not forceful, just enough to confirm it was not imagination. I gasped and hit the brakes hard. The car skidded slightly on damp pavement. When I looked forward, there was another vehicle directly ahead. Stopped in the middle of the highway. No lights, no hazard signals. Just dark. I had not seen it until I was almost on top of it. I swerved violently into the left lane, barely missing it as I passed. I glanced at the vehicle. It was my exact car. Same color, same year, stopped, empty. Driver door opened and I did not slow down that I could not. The voice behind me whispered, "You never checked the back seat." I felt something pressed lightly against my shoulder. Not heavy. Not violent. Just a hand. Resting. I screamed. Loud. Raw. And accelerated beyond safe speed. 90. 91. Fog slicing past. My phone buzzed again. Another text from my sister. "He doesn't like being ignored." Timestamped 11:20 p.m. over and over. Same time. Dozens of messages appearing at once. All sent at 11:20. But arriving now. The seatbelt indicator lit up solid red. Not blinking, steady. Then the interior lights turned on by themselves. Bright. Blinding. And in the rearview mirror, for a fraction of a second, I saw him. My father. Sitting calmly in the back seat. Looking older than when he died. Eyes darker. Expression neutral. That he spoke softly. "You left me on the shoulder." Memory hit me like impact. 3 years ago. The night he died, we had argued that I dropped him off at a rest area near mile marker 241 after a fight. He refused to get back in the car. I drove away. He was struck by a vehicle later that night walking along the shoulder. The police told me it was an accident. I never told anyone we argued. That I left him there. The interior lights shut off. The back seat was empty again. The voice spoke one last time. "You do not get to keep driving." My engine shut off. Completely. At 90 miles per hour. The steering locked. The dashboard went black. I was coasting blindly in FOG NO powered NO lights. Nothing. That I do not remember how I survived. They told me later that a state trooper found my car stopped safely on the shoulder near Roanoke. Engine off. Keys in ignition. Doors locked. I was in the driver's seat. Unconscious. No sign of mechanical failure. Battery fine. Fuel fine. No diagnostic errors. The officer said something strange. When he opened the rear passenger door to check inside, the seatbelt was fastened. As if someone had been sitting there. And the fabric was still warm. I no longer drive Interstate 81 at night. And I never ignore the back seat anymore. Because sometimes when I start the engine, the seatbelt warning chimes once, softly, and the scent of detergent fills the air.